What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to How to Start Over for the Last Time. I'm your host, Coach Nkrumah, and on this podcast, we teach you or we give you the tools, the insights, and the knowledge on how to make your next restart your last restart. Today, we're going to be talking about why your life keeps starting over without you. That might sound a little strange, but that's what we're going to get into tonight. Why your life, why our lives sometimes restart without us even being in control of that restart. And if that makes you feel a little uncomfortable, that's good because most people believe they are actively living their life. But if we slow down and look closely, what's actually happening is this: your life is often being shaped by decisions that you never consciously made. And that's what creates the cycle. Let me start here, right? Have you ever had one of those nights where you felt clear? You might have journaled, you might have prayed, you might have meditated, you mapped something out, you felt a conviction in your chest. You went to sleep thinking tomorrow it's going to be different, and nothing dramatic happens. You don't fail, you don't quit, you don't sabotage yourself in some obvious way. But by noon of that next day, you're already in the same rhythm you said you were leaving behind. How does this happen if we fully made a conscious decision to be changed the next day? It happens because the day itself never changed. See, we think we're failing at consistency, but what's actually failing is the structure. Now we got to define this really clearly, right? If your day is not consciously designed, it will default. This is what we talk about the drift. Every day runs on something, either intention or inertia, either authorship or reaction. If you don't decide how your mornings begin, your mornings are still going to begin. Think this is what I'm saying. Why your life is restarting, taking you back to zero, and it's restarting without you. I'm going to say that again. If you don't decide how your mornings are going to begin, the mornings are going to begin anyway. And if the morning is going to begin anyway, then what decided what the morning was going to be if you did not make that conscious decision? If you don't decide what deserves your attention, your urgency will decide for you. Whatever feels urgent in the moment, that's what's going to get all of your attention. If you don't decide what happens when you feel tired, when your nervous system will vote for comfort. So whatever makes you feel comfortable, you're going to go right back to it. And a lot of the times, the things that we feel comfortable with are not the things that are going to lead us to the life that we want because we found comfort in those things living the life that we have already had. So this is the scary part. Nothing about this feels dramatic. And that's why it's like real dangerous because it just slowly changes your life without your input. Your life rarely collapses because of one catastrophic mistake. It shifts because of accumulated unclaimed decisions. You wake up without deciding how your day begins. You grab your phone, you respond instead of lead, you handle urgency instead of priority, you chase your energy instead of directing it, and then you promise yourself tomorrow. That sequence right there is what I call the drift. We've been talking about the drift for some time now. Drift is logistical, not emotional. And over time, drift creates identity because the more you do something, the more you believe you're supposed to do it. And the more you believe you're supposed to do it, the more you believe you are the person who does these things. So let's get into that, right? So identity is not built by what you intend, it's built by what you repeat. And repetition is determined by structure. Now, this is where, right, people usually say, I just need more discipline or willpower. But let's separate three things. Motivation is emotional, Discipline is force, and structure is support. So structure is what we need to build. Motivation feels powerful, but it fluctuates. Discipline works, but it drains energy. Structure carries. Most people are trying to build permanent change with temporary energy. They feel strong, so boom, they move. They feel weak, so they pause. So no, I know y'all probably gonna get tired of me talking about circles and loops. That's another one of those loops. You ever feel super motivated and you get up and you go running, you're ready to run through a wall, but then you get tired and you can't even run through a wet piece of paper. You feel inspired, so you push, but then you feel uncertain, so you retreat. That's emotional living. Structure is what changes that. Structure says, this is what today does, whether you feel strong or whether you feel weak. And this is where y'all know I get into the neuroscience. This is where the neuroscience comes in. Every decision burns cognitive energy. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that's responsible for planning and self-control, it fatigues throughout the day. That's why when I write, I'm up at 4 a.m. in the morning. By 3, 4, 5 in the afternoon, you start getting fatigued from all of the choices that you had to make. The more decisions that you make in real time, the faster that fatigue sets in. So if your entire day requires constant negotiation, should I work? Should I scroll? Should I start now? Should I wait? You're draining the very system that you need to stay consistent. Structure reduces that cognitive load. It eliminates repeated decision making when something is pre-decided. Pre-decided. When something is pre-decided, it doesn't require a debate. We've already settled that, and this is what it's going to be. So that frees up your energy. Now let's get deeper into it. Your nervous system seeks predictability. Predictability feels safe. When your day is chaotic and reactive, your body stays in a subtle stress mode. When decisions are unclear and you got to keep making them over and over again, your system stays alert. But your pre-claimed decisions calm the nervous system because the path is already known. So because of the structure, you've already decided the structure of the day before you got there. So your nervous system already feels like that's familiar because you've already settled it in your mind. And so that typical thing when you're getting in that unknown and your nervous system starts making you feel doubt and worry and fear and just making you feel sick to your stomach or tight in your chest or you got a headache. Yeah, your nervous system does all that to you. But when you have this pre-decided structure, the nervous system sees this new thing as safe because it's seeing it before it can happen because you already planned it. I hope this making sense to you. Structure is not control, it's safety. And when safety increases, performance increases. This is also why habits fail for so many people. Habits assume that the day is going to be stable, but most people's days are not stable. They're reactive. So you try to insert a new workout habit into a day that's filled with interruptions. You try to insert a writing habit into a day dominated by urgency. Eventually, the louder stimulus wins. You don't fail habits. Habits fail unsupported environments. Consistency collapses when interference isn't removed. Now, here's a shift. I'm not going to give you the full architecture today, but I'll give you one anchor to feel this in real time. Claim the first intentional decision of your day before outside input. Before you check your phone, before you scroll, before you respond, decide. Even better, decide it the night before. Remove negotiation from the morning. That one move right there shifts you from reaction to authorship. It won't fix your entire life, but it will show you what structure actually feels like. You'll feel the difference in your body. Now, let's talk about why people avoid structure, because it exposes truth. When your day is clearly designed, your priorities become visible. When you start to really look at your day, your days, you start to really look at your days and say, all right, what do I normally do during this time? What do I normally do during that? And what do it exposes where your priorities have been? You're like, damn, I said I wanted to be, and I said I wanted to have, and I said I wanted to do. But when I look at my days, it's showing me I'm not doing anything that's leading to any of that. One of my main questions is always, is the life I'm leading me to the life that I want? And when we start to talk about these pre-claimed days, they expose what your priorities have been. And sometimes for people who are not ready to make the real change, they just look at that and get sad or feel guilty. But to those of you who want to make the real change, that's input. And when you get the right input, you can understand what the right output you need to change and correct that. So if you was to say your business matters, but you never structure time for it, that truth becomes obvious. If you say your health matters, but you ain't touching the gym, you ain't eating nothing right. But structure removes any excuse that we have. And the level of clarity you get, it gives you ownership. So when we say start over for the last time, what we're really saying is stop restarting your effort, redesign your day. Let's say that again. Stop restarting your effort, because what we do is we try to work harder this time. I remember listening to, oh man, and I can't even, I'm not even going to get his name. Joseph Prince. There it goes. Joseph Prince is a preacher from Singapore, I believe. And he was talking about how when things aren't going right, we try to pray harder. And it's like, is God God or is he not God? So was he not God when you prayed what you call weaker? And he's really God when you pray harder? And we always think when you put this output that you're going to get a better result when the structure is what was all wrong. The Bible says you have not because you ask not. And when you ask amiss, you ask out of line, or you ask out of structure. So it's not about praying harder or praying weaker. It's about the structure. So stop restarting the effort, redesign the structure of your day, because permanent change requires something that holds you on the worst day. Anybody can perform when they feel strong. When you feel your best, it's easy for you to do your best. Transformation is proven when progress continues under fatigue, through doubt, and through your boredom. But that's what structure does. It holds you in those moments. It's like the picture of Scottie Pippen holding Michael Jordan after the flu game. People love Michael Jordan's flu game because what he played through the flu. It's like anybody can play their best basketball game when they're healthy, but if the man is playing with the flu, you expect them to not be too well. But look what this man did with the flu. What do you do when you have the flu? I hate that rhymed. And I don't mean the actual flu, but allegorically, when you have those bad days, do you just scrap the day, or are you able to get something done? In one of these podcasts, we're going to get to what I call the momentum floor in my book, Killing Yesterday. But we're not going to get deep into that today. So the structure is what holds you and allows you to continuously move forward even when you aren't your best. And when your days stop collapsing, your life stops restarting. Because restart, you know what that means? You go all the way back to the beginning. Oh, listen, this fits for the pod, but it's just totally like off. I remember when I was, I don't know how old I was, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. I'm talking about Mario 3. Yeah, Mario 3. That's when you got to run through the fire. It's like 8. I'm gonna call them seasons. Like this is Netflix. It's 8. I don't even know what to call them. But back then, to anybody who's watching this who's not from my age, there was no saving when you played the games on that first Nintendo. You literally had to start at the beginning if you wanted to beat the game, and you had to play it all the way through to the end, or you would just pause it and leave out, and hopefully the game doesn't cut off while you're going. But in any event that you can't win on the first try, you got to go back to the beginning. And that's what happens when we don't have the structure and we keep trying to restart our energy. We keep going back to the first board, and then we got to go through all of the boards that we already been through before. We got to fight them all again just to get to the end. But if we don't, then we got to start back over at the beginning. And what I want is for us to act like stuff nowadays. I don't want you to restart your energy. I want you to pause where you are, and then let's create a structure that's going to carry us forward. That way we don't have to go back to the first board. That's what they were called, first boards, right? Yeah. All right. Is that making any sense? Is that making any sense to y'all? All right. So I'm gonna leave you with this. Are you actually failing, or is your day just defaulting? Because again, you don't need another restart. You need a day that cannot quietly steal you back. And that's what we're going to really dig into in the next episode. We're going to dig into how to actually build your structure. But for now, I just want you to think about that. Stop restarting your energy and start redesigning your days. Next episode, we're going to redesign our days. This is how to start over for the last time.